Hi, I'm Greg Bodoh, and just by a brief way of introduction, I'd just like to let you know that I've been in the business of helping people financially since 1976. You know, I've found in my 34 years in this business that more people spend more time planning a vacation or planning their biggest vacation than they do planning their entire retirement. And as we age, and I'm 64, most of my clients are seniors and they're either pre-retirement or after retirement, we seem to become number one, more conservative, but number two, more focused on running out of money. I think that there's three things that are most important to a senior today and to the people that come see me. Number one, we want to make sure that we never run out of money, that we always have enough. And number two, we want to make sure that we never become a burden on somebody else. There's a lot of confusing information today about the costs of care. Because of our longevity, we're actually living too long. And number three, we want to make sure that all we've worked for goes to our loved ones and to our beneficiaries, as opposed to expenses to attorneys and taxes to the government. So if those are the three things that are most important to you, let me give you some insight into how we operate. We use a three-step method. Step one, you can either come in to see us for a complimentary consultation, or step one, you may choose to come to one of our educational seminars. They're all generic, completely educational. There are no products being offered. There's nothing to be bought, nothing to be sold. Or, step one, you come into a complimentary consultation where we gather all your information, all your financial data, and more importantly, all the things that are most important to you. Where you are now, where you'd like to be, and what the eventual outcome you're expecting would make you happy. Second meeting, I put together a roadmap. I put together a binder. I put together a financial strategy that relates to what you said was important, starting with where you are now, and what changes you might need to make, because the way you're positioned right now is in contradiction to the things that you said was important for you in the future. I present that to you in our second meeting, and you take it home. You take it home to read it, understand it, think about it. We have a third meeting. In that third meeting, we then begin to take apart what you like about the strategy, what you may not like or like to have changed about the strategy, and more importantly, most people want to know, this feels good, how do I implement it and make this happen? How do I make that outcome come true for me? That's what we do in our next meeting. And then on an annual, semi-annual, or sometimes even quarterly basis, we review where you are and how you're doing relative to what we said we expected to happen. That's what's been happening for 34 years with clients of the Gregory Bodoh Associates, founded long ago. Now let me give you just one idea before we part today, just one idea about a bump that may be in your roadmap. If you think inflation is important, think about the current climate we're in today. Do you think we'll have inflation that's higher in our retirement years, which may encompass 10, 20, or even 30 years? Or do you think inflation might be lower? I kind of doubt inflation will be lower, so what I've done, I'm going to give you an illustration, just something to think about. Did you know that inflation for the last 50 years has averaged 4.2%? Now what does that mean to you? Well, that means if you have a retirement living horizon of 10, 20, or 30 years, for every $50,000 you need in cash flow today, and by the way, if you need to spend it in cash flow, that means you had earnings from somewhere, even from investments, of more than $50,000, so you could pay taxes and have $50,000 left over. So whether your earnings was 50, 60, 70, or 80, for every $50,000 that you need to spend, now inflation, did you realize that at 4.2% inflation in 10 years, you're going to need $74,000 coming from the same retirement resources that you have today, because it's unlikely that you'll be adding to those retirement resources. You'll be in a period of time where you're taking away from the retirement resources. So in 10 years, you're going to need $74,000 to buy the same goods and services you buy today for $50,000. In 20 years, you're going to need $110,000. And in 30 years, you're going to need $162,000 to buy the same lifestyle you buy today. Now here's something for you to think about. How long are you going to be planning to be retired? Because if you're 60, you better be planning for that or longer. If you're 70, in today's longevity, you probably should be planning for that as well. Do you have a plan? Do you have a roadmap to make sure that you, number one, never run out of money? Number two, that the expenses of taking care of yourself mean that you never become a burden on somebody else? And number three, do you have an estate plan to make sure that your assets go where you want as efficiently as possible? Schedule a complimentary consultation.